Welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and each weekday we'll share enthusiasm for what's possible and dive into the stories of Iowans living their dream lives right here in the heartland. Whether you're chasing a big goal or just looking for a little inspiration, we've got you covered. Let's change the world together. This is Living the Dream Iowa Life. Let's go. Heyo, welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and let's dive into this. So part of all of the weekly episodes, at least, are what we call rural reflections. So this is just where I'm at in this journey, day to day. It's such a tough thing. And when I first started, I wanted to make sure that someone was telling the entire story because I feel like most of the self-discovery gurus out there were like getting to it in book 5. Like book 5 was essentially the book that people finally grasped onto, right? But they never maybe wrote book 5 was inevitably this is how I did it because they made it. And so finally people were paying attention. They were like, okay, so I only have to do this, this, and this. Well, there were 4 books before that, right? Like things that had to happen before that. And so I decided instead of kind of getting there privately, I would live it all out loud from the starting point, from the first question, is this what I want for my life? And we've been doing that every day since. And I remember early on being really obsessed with Google search results and how I was going to show up and the fact that if you Googled me at that point in life, I was nothing, essentially. I had a couple of articles from past volleyball lives. At that point, I maybe would show up as a coach that had done some things. But outside of that, I didn't really exist to the rest of the world. And it wasn't really a matter of whether or not that mattered, whether or not getting that attention for that mattered. It was like, no, I am supposed to show up for things. I am this person, or I know that I am meant to be this person. And it created this kind of constant state of conflict of this push and pull. What am I supposed to be? I know what I'm supposed to be. I know that there's a bigger life for me. But I also know that I feel called to live in this really small place. And like, what a conflicting ideology to live a big life in a super small place. And we had explored that for years. Maybe dreams don't happen here. Maybe this isn't supposed to happen here. Maybe we need to move. And there was a reclaiming of this space, a re-understanding that this is where our people are, that no, the rest of the world is not so bad. But the rest of the world isn't where our world is. Like our world is these people, is this place. And we can go enjoy and explore the rest of the world. But this is where we're going to live out all the chapters in between that exploration. And that was a hard realization. That was a hard year of commitment and building what needs to exist here and commitment to really living big somewhere small. And so that's kind of the heart behind Rural Reflections and this idea that we really are meant to live, because I thought for a very long time I just had to sign off on any of those big, audacious things that I had in mind because I live in a small, unimportant to the rest of the world place. Like, this is the flyover states of this nation. No need to stop here, but so many people do because it's the truth. and not everyone and not everywhere, but it's the truth. It's the true nature of human beings. It's a true place where you can strip back and remember the importance of community and camaraderie and connectedness. And it's slow enough to be able to experience all of those things. And for me, maybe not for everyone, that is a really important experience for me to stay true to buy into, to continue focusing on. Because it's really easy for me to really be in the work and only in the work. And the reality is, the work is nothing without family, without community, without collaboration. Like, it means nothing without community, period. And these are the people that I want to do that with. This is where I want to do that. And so figuring out and kind of getting beyond the limits that I had set for myself around this place was really important in this journey. And so back to the Google this morning, no idea where it came from, but I have this genius thought. I'm like, people aren't Googling anymore, not as much. I am going to Chat GPT myself. And I was going to do that within my own Chat GPT, but because I'm doing work with Chat GPT on kind of establishing brand voice, and it knows who I am. And I didn't want Hannah Nuss Chat GPT version of who I am. I wanted the real one. So I went incognito and I got on Chat GPT and I pulled up, who is Hannah Nuss? And hold on. Let me tell you who I am. According to Chat GPT. And it looks really impressive too. And not that like, oh, Hannah's so impressive and we should listen to her. Just, you should know that I've been working on this for 7 years straight, figuring out how to become this person. So this is not the story of, I mean, there are 1,400 episodes of what that struggle to get to this place has been. So to type that in and to have this come up was super powerful. Really awesome. And if you would Chat GPT yourself, basically they're just taking a collection of what they can find on the internet. So if you don't exist there, it may not be real yet, but you're not that far off from it. Like, these things search deep. So it says, and let me show you that you can't see it. I just tried to tap it like it would come into focus. Either way, there's some cute pictures of me and that's pretty exciting. Yay. Hannah Nuss is an American author, podcaster, entrepreneur, and community builder, originally from Iowa. Here's a breakdown of who she is and what she does. And then it goes into my work on podcasting through the personal journal, my work in the books that I have written, my work as an entrepreneur, as a social entrepreneur, and then obviously the social entrepreneur is the community builder. But like, it's pretty powerful stuff, because I remember sitting here not that long ago, and it was that long ago. I mean, 7 years is a pretty a long journey for someone to stay on track for, and not that it's been this flawless journey, and I never took any breaks, and I never stopped, and I kept pushing forward, and it wasn't hard, and everything was easy. It was a journey, friends. A long one. Why? But I just, we've come such a long way. In inevitably what feels like a super short time. And I do remember sitting there and thinking, like, I want to write books. And I want to change lives and the world. And when I said that, I remember feeling sort of sick about that. Like, what a big call, what a big lot on life, and how dare you think that you can do that, and how dare you try to change the whole world. Like, come on. I remember the first postcards that I sent out for the book, my first book, the first pre-order that we did. I remember writing on there, like, change the world, and being like, geez, that's annoying to ask of people. And now, if I would sign your book, that really is what I'm calling you to do. But here's the deal. This is a tiered approach, okay? In order for you to change the world outside your door first, we must change the world inside ourselves. Build our capacity to love and expand and grow. And only then can we help with the world inside our homes, with the mindsets and the thoughts and the mental track patterns within our homes, within the people that we surround ourselves most. And then, and only then, can we trust ourselves to go out within our like smaller community, right? We're just broadening the footprint a little bit. Okay, so this looks like close family, close friends. And then once we're making our pure impact there, that's when we can start venturing outside our door. We can change the world outside our own door. And for me, I know the initial was like, bite off all that you can do. You're being changed. You're being called to change the world. You're being called to change people's lives. That's a pretty big call. Let's go big. Let's do this. And I'm like the biggest vision person that probably exists. I'm like, okay, we can do that. How do we do that? Well, let's just start by being interviewed on podcasts around the world. Like, let's start there. Because that, to most people, you're like, how do you even go about doing that? Don't know. Just did. Just started being interviewed on podcasts around the world. And pretty soon I realized it's this same tiered system. Like, I cannot be responsible for changing lives of people around the world if I am not first responsible for changing lives right outside my door. So then that was really when I felt called to stay here, to make the impact that I could, and to see where I got. Like, could this be big enough? Could this match the call? And would I feel good about it? Would this inevitably, finally, I don't know if relief is the right word, but definitely like, please stop yelling at me. Voices in my head, please give me a break. So would this give me a break? Would this create peace and relief and tranquility? Because this like fight and grind and do the podcasts that make me feel important, that didn't feel true to who I was. It was like, this is about connection, and not that there's any problem with promotion and going on those podcasts, but it was like, but here first. Tier 3 first. Community, world outside your door first. And then everything else. That's fine, but here first. Impact here first. Community, state, nation, world. That's the tier, right? Self. We have to fix ourselves, I think, to relieve or save ourselves from the work. We kind of half fix one thing and then we're like, oh, I need to share this with the rest of the world. And we go out and we think that we're ready to help the rest of the world because we've half healed, and we take some of those half healed lessons, we apply them to everyone. And sometimes that works. But from what I have seen in the leaders that I follow, that inside out work comes first. That healing of self has to come first. If I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not healing myself, I can't really help everyone else. And I get it because trust. I was in that same place when I started this show. I'm like, whew, I already feel better. Okay. Now the gurus say to teach. I know more than most. Teach, hurry up, teach it. And, I wanted to so bad. I really did. But I knew there was a piece of me that knew I wasn't fully healed, that I wasn't there. I wasn't where I needed to be. And I, that like true accountability, true, where you're constantly keeping yourself in check. I know that I have had probably about 3 years of avoiding that accountability. At least when it comes to myself, I do think I built important things and I have done good work regardless. But I do know that accountability, that inner work, I kind of left on the table over there. Like, I got work to do, and work is more important. But again, if we're thinking about the tiered system where we're taking care of ourselves fully first and then only adding other things, other responsibilities, family, right? Our home, only adding when we have space. Whew. How are we doing that? I did an interview with Lindsay Leahy not too long ago, so you should be able to find that in I don't know what I call those interviews. But in one of my most recent interviews, we talked about this, like putting the things that matter most on your calendar first and filling with everything next, like work, everything around that. And for me, that looks like a very big transition this year into balancing our family with the work that I do, kind of rebalancing and making sure that I am taking time to develop and nurture those relationships. And like doing that in a way that's true to our home unit in this little teeny tiny home, like what is most important to us and what is true to us. And so that's going to be such a big leap, but I do think that that's in the truth of who I say that I am. And gosh, I was just reading through my kind of deeper dive horoscope. And we can call that woohoo and all the things. But I do think that there's some truth to all of that. There's a lot of power in self understanding, and I seek self understanding anywhere that I can get it, whether it's the Enneagram or a working genius or a horoscope and astrology and all the things. The world is a very mystical place, and I love exploring and learning more, being curious about what this is and how it works and who we are as humans and why that matters and how it all happens, because I don't think it just happens by chance, you know? And so I'm reading through that and just having a lot of these moments. And I can't remember which planet is kind of coming out of a 7-year journey. 7 years. And into this new, the planet is moving into a new, I don't know what it's called, but if you want to learn more about that, Chani Nicholas writes a really powerful book on understanding all of that. She also has a really powerful app depending on how you want to interact with that information. Really powerful book. Really great in understanding all of this stuff because it's very complex and very complicated. So I'm reading through that and I'm realizing, holy crap, we're coming to the end of this 7-year journey. And what a powerful place to be in. And the end of the 7-year journey, essentially, of that planet being wherever it is, I cannot remember for the life of me, because that would make me a really great podcaster to like have all those notes somewhere and be like reading a script of a prompt from right here, and you would all be like, wow, Hannah really gives me great insight and information every day, always backed and sourced, just lovely. I'm just telling you, if that's what this show becomes, I probably am no longer the host because I'd be so bored. I know I probably need to put a little bit more thought into what I'm talking about day to day. And sometimes I do. And sometimes I just feel called to just get on here and discuss wherever we go next, which I enjoy. And I enjoy being a little bit more in flow than we have been. Just as more mental clarity returns after the accident. And it has been fun to experiment with. I love when I go out and I give talks, and my favorite speeches that I give are the ones that I literally have a slide deck and I just know kind of the key points that I want to get to there, but I just flow. Like, come on. What? Give a speech for an hour? Okay. Tempt me. Because staying in this conscious flow is obviously something that I practice on the daily. And so that really, I don't want to call any shots, and I don't want to make people feel like, oh, Hannah's so audacious. How dare she do all these things? But like early on, I was like, okay, if this is just like everything that I have done in my life and I want to get good at this thing, then I probably need to be practicing it long before it is time, right? Before I became a coach who was winning state tournaments, I was 4 years. 4 years in high school, 4 years in college, 2 years after that, just studying the crafts of coaching. Studying, learning, talking to my coaches, talking to my teammates, learning everything about the dynamics of a team and how it worked and why it didn't work and what threw this person off and why and what was the coach doing about it. And not only like sitting as a fly on the wall and understanding this, seriously, sitting there curious, asking my coaches, why are we doing this? What's going on? Why is this person like this? What's happening? Have you ever experienced this before? What did you do? What have you done in the past? What are you going to do now? Why is that different? Why is it the same? What's going on? Where does that philosophy come from? What is the mentality behind all of that? And just continuing to sit and ask questions and learn more. And that's an unconventional practice while also obviously practicing the game and growing my skills and understanding that this is how this works. We practice, we show up to the gym, we show up to the weight room, we show up to the track, we do the work that's required to prepare our bodies for what this athletic season is going to ask us. Once we're in season, we're just really, right, in a flow state. Our body, we know how this works because we're doing it every day outside of here. We're practicing. We're practicing for the performance of the next 3 months, but every day that we worked leading up to this is why we will perform at peak levels. And so this podcast, I thought in my mind, could become practicing ground for eventually, I don't know if we're going to get there, eventually getting to a place where I get to speak on stages. And if I had practiced 1,400 times talking for a half an hour, think how much better I'd be. Now, I could have never imagined when I started that I would keep this show going for 7 years. Like, that blows my mind still that it's been 7 years. It seems like truly yesterday that I was in an abandoned room in my house recording the first episode. But according to the chart, if we're going by that, we're kind of nearing a 7-year journey of really peril and exploration and understanding. And now we're moving into this place of knowing, and da 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 da, as I'm reading through all of this and kind of listening to the different horoscopes explaining where the planets are and why this makes sense. And I'm listening to it. I'm also understanding that, like, this is my year of no. 2025 was my year of knowing. Like, it took 7 years of sorting and sifting through the crap to finally know what I want to be, what I want to do. Who am I? And I tried so many different dang things. I also, as a part of that search, there was this, like, I don't hire Hannah type of thing related to, like, hiring me for a career. And it said Hannah has started and stopped 9 careers over the past 18 years. Her typical stay rate is about 2 years. And I'm like, well, that's because every business that I launched, I, like, literally put that I worked there. And within the last 7 years, the 5 years prior to the last 3, it was a new business, kind of like every quarter almost. I worked in real jobs. I stayed in my corporate career for, I don't know, 12 years. Like, I did the right thing for long enough to be important or a professional or whatever I need to be to the rest of the world. But it was just laughable because it's like, oh yeah, Hannah worked for this company. Oh yeah, I remember that company. Started, stopped. Hannah worked for this company for 6 months. Oh yeah, I remember that company. Start, stop. Like, but again, it is such a long journey to get here, to get to this place of knowing. And for some of you, that's going to be a very short journey. You're going to know right away because maybe you've already lived through a lot of the experimentation. So don't listen to this and go, well, I don't have 10 years. But also listen to this and know it's only 10 years. It's only 7 years. And what? Who's to say that you weren't to die 5 years ago? You know, like 20 years ago. You would have done it if you were 18. Who's to say that you lived until you were 40 or 50 or 60 or 70? Like, I would have done it. I'm just so old. No. It is only 7 years. And we don't know what your timeline of experience is like. There's a chance you've been perfecting this whole time, and now you're 50 or 60, and now it's time. Now, and only now, because of what you've experienced up till now it's time to go on that dream. And you don't have 7 years because you've had the last 20. Right? And sometimes we're holding back because we're like, I don't know what to do. Just go do. You will find it. All of the things that Chat GPT described me as, I wanted to be. I have no idea how to become that, how to make that happen. And yet, here we are, sitting in this place of no, sitting in this year of 7, and finally understanding what we're going to do. somewhat. We never really know, right? But like feeling in this place of steadiness and understanding of what this journey really has been about. And who knows what's going to come our way. But like, here we are, always arriving. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.